we are seeing a bunch of these candidates now have to answer for things that they either said or that are in their history. And a lot of this happens when it's like good news if you are able to make a splash in the debate, but then they're going to start asking you questions. So let's go through some of these. This is all from sort of reaction interviews after the debates.
Okay.
Here is Tulsi Gabbard. Now, she made a big splash. I thought she was the best one in that second debate. I thought she did very well. She had a really good back and forth with Kamala Harris.
A lot of people kind of thought she won it.
Yeah, I thought she did.
Yeah.
And she did really well in the first one too. She's
solid. She's a decent. She's really well spoken. She seems to be pretty smart. Mm-hmm. She's got a really interesting background,
fascinating background,
and the fact that she did 2 tours in the Middle East is amazing. Mm-hmm. And that now you wouldn't expect her to be really anti-war, and she is.
Yeah, very much so.
So,
and she has an interesting brand of her type of anti-war. It's like there's a certain, I think I said this, there's like it's like if Bernie Sanders and like someone from the alt-right had a baby.
It would be her.
It's like her. It's like really, it's a strange grouping of views. But the part of that is why she kind of seems like the most sane sometimes, because she has some views that are sort of conservative libertarian-ish. Mm-hmm. Most of them are not.
Strangely, some people are now, and I'm sure it's just opponents in the Democrat Party, believing that she's being controlled by Russians. Have you seen that line of thinking?
Yeah, because she aligns that the foreign policy stuff aligns well with like the Russia Today take on the world, right? Mm-hmm. Like that, one of the big ones is Bashar al-Assad. She's been
is really kind of friendly to him.
Yeah, like the biggest defender of Assad that you could find,
which is very weird.
Probably in all of Congress. It's a strange set of views.
I'd like to hear. I don't know that I ever have heard her explain why she's pro-Assad. There's not a lot of people, you said, who are.
Let her give it a whirl here, Pat. Here's Gabbard on meeting Bashar al-Assad.
Oh.
When sitting down with someone like Bashar al-Assad in Syria, do you confront him directly and say, why do you order chemical attacks on your own people? Why do you cause the killings of over 500,000 people in your country?
Look, I want to break this down to what we're talking about.
It's really a yes or no answer.
I want to break this down to what we're talking about here today, because you're talking about a meeting that took place 3 years ago?
Well, Congressman,
and every time I come back here on MSNBC, you guys talk to me about these issues. It sounds like these are talking points that Kamala Harris and her campaign are feeding you because she's refusing to address the questions that were posed to her.
Congresswoman, it's important, I think, for the American people to have context about your foreign policy issues and where you stand. If you're leading with foreign policy and you're running for the President of the United States, a meeting with Bashar al-Assad, which I'm sure you understand, is a very controversial meeting to take. Hence the reason why when you come on MSNBC, it is important for us to talk to you about that. And of course, every anchor has a different perspective and different questions to ask of you.
Every single time for 3 years, this is where the propaganda comes in.
I will say,
you kind of like that, though, because she's subjected to some of what Republicans face every single time.
Yeah. I will say and this is a great example of it because it happens to Republicans all the time. You can't say, look, it's important we ask these questions. We have to have context to your trip and then demand a yes or no answer. You can't get context out of a yes or no answer.
Right.
That's not possible.
That's right.
Right.
But she did not explain herself there.
She did not.
I would have liked it if she did.
She does. She's talked about this in that she did it eventually. She will acknowledge that this guy is a really bad guy.
She will acknowledge that.
She said that he is a. She's very much against war there, but she says he did hurt his and kill his own people with chemical weapons and all the rest. Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit of a temptation with her in that we forget that people like Dianne Feinstein was meeting with Assad. Assad was not someone that the Democrats didn't meet with routinely, and not only Democrats, but largely Democrats.
Yeah, a short time ago, he was not the boogeyman of the Middle East.
Once they got into that war, most people bailed on the thing, though.
Yeah.
And she seems to be the one who stuck around it the most, which is kind of strange.
Yes.
But the two things to take out of that, I think. Number one, people are starting to recognize that Gabbard is at least a force on the lower end of this election. Someone who has the possibility of getting into the next debates, someone who could make some noise.
Well, and she's only 38. She's kind of setting herself up for later.
For later, a later run.
Because she could run how many 6 times? 5 or 6 times?
And I assume they all will, right? And they're all gonna, but she could also be a possibility for a Secretary of State or Secretary of Defense or something in that realm. Also, VP is a big consideration, and that is also tipped. The hand is tipped there as she once again goes after Kamala Harris. Like, she has made her job right now is going after Harris to protect Biden.
Will that lock down the vice president nomination? Will he be his selection?